Hey Chandler, hey Andy, how are you guys?
Doing great, doing great. I like the background you got there.
I had to represent. I mean, this is wow. This was jarring. This was disturbing, but all in the best ways possible. I don't think I've ever seen a Spider-Man adaptation quite like this, and that is a compliment. Well done, honestly, to both of you. Um,
Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Andy, if I could start with you, where did the concept for this come from? I mean, obviously, you show yourself as a huge Spidey fan, but then also as a huge Cronenbergian body horror sort of horror fan. And I love that you blended the two together. When did you think to do this and how?
Um, yeah, so when I did on my channel, I also have the Fiona Shrek horror thing. So after that came out, that had a lot of I had a really good response and a lot of press and a lot of yeah, just the response from that. Everybody was asking, "Oh, what are you gonna do next? What are you gonna do next?" And like I was just kind of thinking about it, and like Spider-Man's been a big it's probably my favorite superhero like growing up and like watching like the TV show. And in the TV show, there's like the man spider story arc that kind of shows up for a little bit. Um, but yeah, the Spider-Man world kind of lends itself to, I feel like, horror pretty well. But nobody's really taken it like this, like taking it in this direction. So I don't know. Yeah, just kind of there's a lot of ideas. There's a lot of comics already that has kind of horror elements and stuff already in it. So yeah, the idea kind of just stemmed from like pulling different things from different sources and kind of then coming up with the story and talking to my friends and getting input and stuff like that and kind of so it took about like a year to kind of like actually solidify the idea before we actually like tried to even do it.
Well, it is twisted in the best sort of what if kind of sense, and I love that. Like, if this was adapted into a what if comic, I would have loved it, and I would have loved to see it, this iteration alongside characters like Werewolf by Night or, Blade or anything like that within the horror area of Marvel. This fits in perfectly. Chandler, how did you get involved in the project, and what was it like, kind of teaming up with Andy, going through that process and hearing the story, were you a Spider-Man fan as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I grew up watching all of the movies. I think I've seen Spider-Man 2 probably about 80 times. Like I seriously like love, all things Spider-Man. And so when I got the email with all the stuff about it and everything, and Andy, all about him, and his Fiona short and everything. So cool. Instantly, like, okay, this is a really really cool thing, and it really seemed like the environment that it was a bunch of friends coming together and just making some cool movies, and totally an environment that I wanted to be a part of since I'm also an indie filmmaker and do the same thing. So it was really cool to get an opportunity to kind of be in that world and also get the crazy opportunity to play one of my longtime like dream characters and bring it to life in a way that is a total left turn from I think what everyone was expecting.
Dude, I mean, as someone who's had the pleasure of really watching you grow as an actor and as, and now a filmmaker, I just need to say you make an incredible Peter Parker. I would
Thank you.
love to see you play Peter Parker again in more iterations, whether it's a horror tinged one or even just, if they're doing the multiverse thing, seeing you come in either as the Spider or as another variant of Spider-Man would be freaking awesome because dude, you look the part. You're perfect for the part. I am down for a Chandler Riggs Peter Parker again in the future. I just got to say that.
Thank you.
Of
Thank you.
course.
Thank you.
I want to talk to both of you guys about the design of this version of Spider-Man or Man Spider, if you will. I know Andy, you talked a little bit about some of the inspirations from the comics, and for lack of a better term, uh, based on the comics and based on how your design came out, the comic book version's very cuddly now. I mean, compared to what you guys put together, where did the design come from? And then Chandler putting on that makeup, how was that like? Just the design and the look of all of this. Where did that originate from? And the look and the feel and stepping into that look, you know?
Yeah, so I mean the design was I always I mean we definitely wanted to make it as spider as possible. So the idea was like a flesh colored like spider essentially. Um, but I mean, the Thing, I thought like, the Thing was like a definitely, I mean, The Fly was a big inspiration.
Mhm.
Like 80s like movies, 80s horror movies have like like a lot of practical effects, and I definitely like love that kind of stuff. So definitely a lot of inspiration from that. When we're designing the makeup for the face, Toxic Avenger was actually like, like tumorous. Like, I was researching like what if you actually got like radiation poisoning, like what's the actual symptoms and stuff. Like you start losing your hair, like your skin starts like, there's just like different things. So I try to incorporate stuff like that, and just try to make it as grounded and as like realistic as possible, but also, as horrific as possible, and just making it as ugly as I could. That's essentially where the thing is. And then our makeup artist and production designer kind of added on top of that.
Yeah, and getting to step into that was just, it was so crazy. I remember because on the script, like it gives a pretty good description of this creature, but you still have no idea like what it's gonna look like. And a couple days before we were starting to shoot, Andy was sending me photos of the suit and of just what it was gonna look like, and it's just so crazy. And then he asked me if I wanted to be in the suit, and I said, hell yeah, like that would be so sick. And so it was kind of tough to work out logistically, but we made it work. And man, it was so cool, so fun. Just the makeup was just so crazy. And yeah, it really was a blast, and also very claustrophobic, but it was it was really cool.
How long did it take you? And was it different from like, your experience with Walking Dead makeup?
Yeah, well, I never had to put on any of the zombie makeup, fortunately, on Walking Dead. But yeah, God, I honestly can't remember. It took, I think, a couple of hours to really get it all done well, because it was. I mean, the suit was pretty easy because I just slid that on, but then they had to, really make the mask thing like work with my face and kind of blend well with everything else. So that was the kind of the time consuming challenge. But yeah, man, it was so cool, so much fun, such a blast.
For me, part of my favorite things growing up was watching the Marvel universe evolve and expand. And I think that you've tapped into a very twisted version of the Marvel universe that I would love to see expanded. Would you guys want to do that? Would you want to see these horror versions of the X-Men and the Fantastic Four and the Hulk? Because, superhero mythology kind of lends itself with radiation and a lot of like chemicals and stuff to horror in a lot of ways. Would you like to do something like that and expand this universe exponentially with Chandler kind of at the center of this universe's Spider-Man?
Yeah, I think what makes this take really fresh is like, people talk about like superhero fatigue and like the Hollywood, like there's so much like Marvel content and stuff coming out. Like this is definitely like a different. Brightburn kind of did something similar, and I thought that was really really like unique as well. I don't know if I want to see like all the characters like turn horror. Like I feel like that'd be like, this one really lends itself to the horror aspects of it. Like I feel like the stories that do make sense, I think, like you're saying, yeah, like X-Men, or like maybe like some like we see some mutants, or maybe one or two characters here and there that really work in this space. But I wouldn't want to do like what Winnie the Pooh's kind of doing. Like I think they're doing like the Winnie the Pooh universe with like Peter Pan characters and Bambi characters all in the same like world. I feel like that's a little, I don't know. It's probably not the direction I would go, but I would love to make the spider like a longer thing for sure.
For what it's worth, I would love to see more of this. But and by the way, in the 10 minutes that this short takes place, better than the entirety of any of those Winnie the Pooh movies, just for the record. So well done, both of you guys. I'm so grateful for the time to talk to you, and I'm so grateful for this new vision of Marvel. Well done. You're both incredibly talented. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Directors, comments and the lectures, fanboys, professional artists and professors. Maybe a nerd who's just like you, talking about the things that you like too. So I invite you to the NOC. In full color, you see me. The hard knock life, comics, movies, and TV. Yeah, pop culture with a different perspective. Watch it on your screen, hit play. So